Welcome to the Senior Techie Podcast. Imagine if cutting out just, one single can of soda could literally turn back your biological clock by almost 3 months.
Yeah, it honestly sounds like pure science fiction, doesn't it?
It really does. But we're actually looking at a brand new, peer-reviewed study from the medical journal Aging Cell.
Mm-hmm.
And it proves that changing your cellular fuel can physically make your cells younger in a matter of weeks.
Right. And we are going to unpack exactly how that biology works today.
Exactly. And, because this community at the Senior Techie is all about empowering you to take control, we aren't just going to stop at the biology.
No, badly not.
We are going to explore the built-in smartphone technology that's probably sitting on your coffee table right now. Because that technology makes tracking this incredible anti-aging process completely frictionless.
So that is the real mission for our conversation. We're looking at this really fascinating intersection between cutting-edge clinical nutrition and accessible personal technology. Because you really don't need a medical degree to understand the biology of aging. And you certainly don't need, a computer science background to use the tools that are already available to you.
Absolutely not. We're going to break down the mechanics of cellular aging, reveal the specific diet that showed the best anti-aging results for adults aged 65 to 75, and then walk through how your smartphone can act as an automated, pocket-sized health assistant.
But before we can really talk about reversing aging, we have to understand how scientists actually measure it in the lab.
Which means tackling some scientific jargon.
Exactly. The news throws around words like biological age, epigenetic age, and biomarkers.
Right, which sounds intimidating. So let's strip the lab coats off these terms for a second. Imagine a beautiful vintage car. Let's picture a classic 1965 Mustang.
The Mustang is the perfect way to visualize this. So the year that Mustang rolled off the assembly line, right, 1965, that is its chronological age. It's a fixed fact printed on the vehicle's registration. It's identical to the birthday printed on your driver's license. It simply tells us how many orbits around the sun the car or, your body has completed.
But it tells us literally nothing about the vehicle's actual condition.
Exact.
Because if you put two 1965 Mustangs side by side, they could look completely different under the hood.
Oh, absolutely.
I mean, one might have been driven cross-country through snow and road salt, just constantly pushed to the limit and maybe deprived of routine oil changes.
Just totally neglected.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the other might have been kept in a climate-controlled garage and meticulously maintained by a master mechanic. So that actual physical wear and tear on the engine block, the transmission, the suspension.
How the car actually performs when you put your foot on the gas.
Exactly. That is its biological age.
And when a mechanic wants to determine the true biological age of that engine, they don't just, glance at the VIN number. They run specialized diagnostic tests. They check the oil viscosity, they measure the exact tire tread depth, test the battery voltage.
And in the human body, those specific diagnostic tests are called biomarkers.
You've got it. Scientists analyze compounds in your blood or your cells to measure the actual wear and tear on your physiological machinery. They completely ignore what your birth certificate claims.
So when researchers talk about epigenetic age, they are looking at a very specific set of cellular biomarkers to see how old your cells are acting.
Right.
And I really want to dig into this fascinating study from the University of California, San Francisco, UCSF, because they demonstrated exactly how the fuel we consume affects that cellular wear and tear.
Yeah, the UCSF researchers looked really closely at epigenetic markers. And to understand epigenetics, think of your DNA as the hardware of a computer.
Okay, the hardware.
Right. And epigenetics is the software that tells the hardware what to do. Over time, that software can get corrupted by environmental factors, and that includes diet.
Wow, okay.
So the researchers found a direct, measurable correlation. Every single gram of added sugar you consume is associated with an increase in your epigenetic age.
Every gram.
Every gram. The more added sugar you eat, the older your cells are basically instructed to act.
Wait, let me stop you there because we really need to explain the mechanism. Why does sugar do that? Is it just empty calories, or is something more malicious happening at the cellular level?
Oh, it is much more malicious than just calories. When you consume excessive added sugar, it binds to proteins and fats in your bloodstream.
Okay.
And this binding process creates dangerous compounds, literally called AGEs. That stands for Advanced Glycation End Products.
AGEs. That's almost too perfect of an acronym.
It really is. And these AGEs just roam around and actively damage your DNA's on and off switches, which is your epigenetics.
They gum up the works.
Exactly. They gum up the cellular machinery, forcing your cells to accumulate damage faster and behave as though they are biologically older.
But the UCSF study didn't just bring bad news, right? Because they found that the reverse is also true.
Yes, that's the exciting part.
The researchers estimated that if you cut just 10 grams of added sugar from your daily diet, you could turn back that biological clock by an estimated 2.4 months.
Assuming you sustain the change, yeah.
Which is incredible.
It really is. 10 grams is an incredibly small intervention for such a profound systemic reward.
Yeah, to put that 10 grams into perspective for you listening, it is less than you would find in one single standard can of soda.
Wow.
So cutting out one soda, or maybe swapping out a heavily sweetened breakfast pastry for a bowl of steel-cut oats, that physically stops those advanced glycation end products from forming.
Right. You don't have to run a marathon to see a change. Simply removing the element that gums up the machinery allows your cells to repair themselves and literally turn back the clock.
It really highlights the sheer resilience of the human body. But cutting out sugar is really just plain defense, isn't it?
It is, and the researchers in a landmark study out of the University of Sydney, they wanted to know how we can play offense. They asked, can we actively rebuild those cellular switches by giving the body a completely different, optimized type of fuel?
Let's dive into the details of that Sydney study, because this is where the data gets incredibly actionable. They tracked 104 adults, all specifically between the ages of 65 and 75.
Which is our exact audience.
Exactly. And they put them on 4 different diet plans for just 1 month. Now, 4 weeks seems remarkably short to measure anti-aging.
Oh, 4 weeks is a blink of an eye in clinical nutrition, but they were monitoring those biomarkers we mentioned earlier, the mechanics diagnostic tests for the body.
Right, checking the oil on the tires.
Exactly. Specifically, they tracked blood pressure, fasting insulin levels, cholesterol, and a crucial marker called C-reactive protein, or CRP.
Why is C-reactive protein so critical to track when we talk about biological age?
So CRP is the primary biomarker for systemic inflammation. If your body is constantly fighting off low-grade inflammation from, say, processed foods or environmental stress.
Your immune system is basically in overdrive.
Exactly. And chronic inflammation accelerates cellular aging faster than almost anything else. So lowering CRP is basically the holy grail of turning back your biological clock.
And the results of the Sydney study were staggering. 3 out of the 4 diet groups saw measurable reductions in those exact biological age markers, including CRP.
They were getting biologically younger on paper.
Yes. And I want to share the specific breakdown of the diet that was the absolute winner.
What did the optimal fuel mixture look like for this demographic?
It was an omnivorous plan, meaning it included both plants and some animal products, but it was heavily skewed toward complex carbohydrates and it was lower in fat.
Okay, so what were the numbers?
The exact breakdown that produced the strongest cellular rejuvenation was 14% of daily calories from protein, 28 to 29% of calories from fat, and a massive 53% of calories from carbohydrates.
Wow.
And importantly, the researchers noted that plant-based protein sources significantly outperformed animal-based proteins in lowering those aging biomarkers.
We should probably unpack why plant proteins outperformed animal proteins in this specific context.
Yeah, please do.
Well, plant proteins like lentils, beans, and chickpeas, they come packaged with heavy amounts of dietary fiber.
Right.
Animal proteins contain 0 fiber. And that fiber feeds the beneficial bacteria in your gut microbiome, which in turn produce short-chain fatty acids that actively suppress the systemic inflammation we just talked about.
So what does a meal consisting of 53% complex carbohydrates and 14% plant protein actually look like on your plate?
Right, it's hard to visualize percentages.
Yeah, we are not talking about a traditional Western plate of like a huge steak, buttered mashed potatoes, and a tiny sprig of parsley.
Oh, no, definitely not.
We are talking about a hearty bowl of lentil and vegetable stew served over quinoa, maybe topped with roasted pumpkin seeds, or a large serving of black beans, sweet potatoes, and avocado.
And it is also crucial to look at the control group in this study. There was one group out of the 4 that saw absolutely 0 meaningful change in their biological age markers.
Right, they remained biologically stagnant.
Yeah. This was the group eating a high-fat, omnivorous diet that closely mirrored what they were already eating before the study began.
Essentially a standard modern Western diet.
Exactly. It is a powerful baseline demonstrating that business as usual yields exactly the usual results.
As encouraging as this is, I know what you might be thinking right now. You are probably thinking calculating 53% complex carbohydrates 28% fat, and 14% protein for every single meal sounds like an exhausting math exam.
Oh, completely.
Right. Like, how on earth do I track this without hiring a full-time nutritionist?
That is the most common and valid barrier to entry. But before we introduce the technological solution for that, I really need to provide a very clear scientific caveat regarding the Sydney study.
Yes, very important.
As a researcher analyzing this data, I must point out that 104 people is a relatively small sample size. Furthermore, 4 weeks is an acute intervention.
Right.
We need larger longitudinal studies spanning years to know definitively if these short-term cellular changes translate into a guaranteed reduced risk of long-term chronic diseases.
So this is a signpost pointing us in a highly promising direction, not a medical guarantee.
Perfectly said. Please do not discard your current medications or cancel any upcoming consultations with your physician based on one discussion of one study.
Always consult your medical provider before overhauling your lifestyle.
Exactly. However, the aggregate scientific consensus points firmly toward less processed fat, less added sugar, more plants, and more complex carbohydrates as the foundation for cellular longevity.
Absolutely.
Mm.
And returning to that feeling of being overwhelmed by the math of tracking all this.
Right, the 53% carbs.
Yeah. Here is where the modern world works in your favor. You do not need a calculator, a notepad, or a degree in nutrition. The smartphone sitting next to you is a highly advanced personal health computer.
Yeah, it really is.
This is the bridge where health science meets everyday technology, and it is entirely within your capability to use it.
But let's do a little more jargon busting before we name the specific apps.
Good, yeah.
When nutritional scientists talk about hitting those percentages, the protein, fats, and carbohydrates, they are talking about macros, which is short for macronutrients.
Okay.
But we also have to consider micronutrients. Let's bring back our 1965 Mustang analogy to visualize the difference here.
I love the Mustang.
Yeah.
So if your body is that classic Mustang, your macronutrients, the protein, fats, and carbs, those are the high-octane gasoline, the heavy steel replacement parts, and the transmission fluid.
Right. You need them in large, heavy quantities to give the car structure and the sheer energy to move down the road.
Exactly.
And your micronutrients, the vitamins, minerals, and amino acids, those are the premium synthetic oil, the rust-proofing spray, and the spark plugs.
Oh, that makes perfect sense.
Yeah. You don't need them in massive heavy gallons like the gasoline. But if you put high-octane fuel in the tank and completely ignore the premium oil and the spark plugs, that engine is going to grind to a halt and age prematurely.
Wow.
And as the human body gets older, our digestive tract can become slightly less efficient at absorbing those micronutrients from our food. So ensuring we have enough of that rust-proofing and oil becomes increasingly critical.
So we need to track the heavy steel and the rust-proofing. And I want to reassure you listening right now. The technology designed to do this has become incredibly frictionless.
So frictionless.
Smartphone cameras and optical character recognition software have evolved so much that lugging your food does not require typing out long lists anymore.
No, not at all.
It is literally as fast as pointing your camera lens at a box. The software does all the heavy lifting. The senior techie community is full of vibrant individuals mastering these exact tools to take charge of their health.
Having the right tool in your pocket changes the entire experience from a chore into a seamless habit. So let's examine the specific applications available to act as your automated scorekeeper.
The heavyweight champion in this space is an app called MyFitnessPal. It is free to download, with a premium option if you want deeper analytics.
Yeah, MyFitnessPal is the industry standard, primarily because of its longevity. It has a massive crowdsourced database of almost every food item imaginable.
And the feature that makes MyFitnessPal so powerful is the built-in barcode scanner.
Oh, it's brilliant.
You open the app, tap the scan icon, and hold your phone's camera over the barcode on a bag of lentils or a carton of almond milk.
Just like at the grocery store.
Exactly. In less than a second, the app accesses its database, instantly recognizes the item, calculates the exact macro and micronutrient breakdown for your serving size, and logs it. It is like having a commercial grocery store checkout scanner right in your kitchen.
It removes almost all the friction of data entry. But if you want to go a step further, there is an excellent alternative called Chronometer.
Chronometer, okay.
Yeah, it is also free with a premium tier, and independent reviewers frequently rate it as the most accurate tracker available.
So if MyFitnessPal has the biggest database and a barcode scanner, why would someone choose to use Chronometer instead? Like, does it offer something different?
It does. Chronometer's distinct advantage is its hyper-focus on micronutrients.
Ah, the rust proofing.
Exactly. While MyFitnessPal gives you a great overview of the macros, the gasoline, and the heavy steel, Chronometer gives you a microscopic inventory of the rust proofing and the spark plugs.
Oh, wow.
It breaks down dozens of specific vitamins, trace minerals, and amino acids. If you want to ensure you are getting enough magnesium for muscle function or vitamin B12 for nerve health, Chronometer visualizes that data beautifully.
That is so helpful.
Yeah, for an older demographic focused on cellular aging, tracking those micronutrients is a massive advantage.
There is also a highly specialized option called the Senior Nutrition app, which was designed from the ground up specifically for adults over 50.
The Senior Nutrition app is brilliant because it acknowledges that health tracking for an older demographic is rarely just about food. It seamlessly integrates your nutritional logging with other vital metrics. It allows you to track your daily glucose levels, monitor your heart rate, and even supports specific intermittent fasting protocols, which is incredibly useful if a doctor has prescribed a fasting window for metabolic health.
It acts as a comprehensive, holistic dashboard.
It really does.
But what if you are someone who prefers not to download third-party applications or create new accounts? You actually have incredibly powerful options built directly into the operating system of the phone you already own.
Yes. If you are using a Samsung smartphone, you have an application called Samsung Health pre-installed on your device.
Just sitting right there.
Just sitting there. It is entirely free and covers fundamental nutrition tracking while automatically running in the background to count your daily steps and monitor your activity levels.
And for the iPhone users, you have the Apple Health app. It's the app with the white background and the small pink heart icon, pre-installed on every single iPhone. The standout feature of Apple Health is its credibility. It links directly to evidence-based health and nutrition guidance straight from the National Institutes of Health, specifically the National Institute on Aging.
And, mentioning the National Institutes of Health brings up a really critical point regarding digital literacy and credibility.
Oh, for sure.
The internet is completely flooded with predatory marketing, pseudoscience, and misinformation, particularly surrounding anti-aging supplements and diets.
That is such a crucial warning. With all this focus on cellular health and longevity, how do we protect ourselves from bad actors? Like, how can you differentiate between a legitimate peer-reviewed breakthrough like the University of Sydney study and a sophisticated scam designed solely to drain your retirement savings?
It's tough. You must always look for claims backed by randomized controlled trials and consult certified medical professionals.
Right.
However, if you encounter a product, a supplement advertisement, or a diet program that makes miraculous guarantees or just seems fraudulent, you have a direct, actionable resource. You can report it to the Federal Trade Commission by visiting a secure government website. It's reportfraud.ftc.gov.
Okay, reportfraud.ftc.gov.
That is reportfraud, all one word, .ftc.gov. Reporting these scams protects not only you, but the entire community.
We want you empowered by technology, but we demand that you stay safe while using it.
Always.
So we have covered the complex biology of epigenetic aging, the profound impact of cutting sugar, the anti-inflammatory power of complex carbohydrates, and the smartphone tools that automate the tracking process.
The science is dense and the technology is powerful. But the most important question now is, what is the practical application?
Right. We're absolutely not suggesting you march into your kitchen, throw out everything in your pantry, and attempt to calculate 53% carbohydrate meals starting immediately.
No, radical overnight overhauls usually lead to burnout and frustration.
What is the most manageable, lowest stakes first step you can take after listening to this conversation?
The most effective first step is to pick just one upcoming meal. Download MyFitnessPal or Chronometer, or simply open the built-in health app on your phone and log that single meal.
Just one.
Just one. Do not attempt to change what you are eating. If you usually have a pastry and sweet coffee, eat the pastry and drink the sweet coffee.
Right.
Just use the barcode scanner or the search function to log it and observe the data.
See exactly how many grams of added sugar are hiding in your normal routine. See if you are getting any of those vital, plant-based, complex carbohydrates.
Yeah, the vast majority of people are stunned when the abstract idea of their diet is converted into hard data on a screen in front of them.
Awareness is always the precursor to meaningful change. You do not have to fix everything today. You simply have to start paying attention to the fuel you are putting in the engine.
Absolutely.
And I want to leave you with a fascinating psychological concept to think about. Consider how the mere act of observing your food through a smartphone app might organically shift your behavior.
Oh, that's interesting.
Psychologists refer to this as the Hawthorne effect. Humans naturally alter their behavior when they know they're being observed, even if we are the only ones observing ourselves.
That is so true.
The simple frictionless act of pulling out your phone and looking at that barcode scanner might naturally cause you to reach for a handful of walnuts instead of a sugary snack well before you ever consciously decide to go on a diet.
Right, because you know you have to stand it.
Exactly. Just paying attention is a superpower. You have the knowledge of how your cells age, you have the technological tools in your pocket, and you are entirely capable of taking the wheel. This podcast was brought to you by The Senior Techie. It's available on Apple Podcasts, YouTube, and Spotify. If you'd like to receive their free newsletters, you can subscribe at subscribe.thisseniortechie.com.